To heat pump or not to heat pump, it's the great heat pump revolt. I have been so inspired by the responses I had to my thoughts about heat pumps, which I absolutely despise. The funny thing is, most of the very hostile statements were obviously from heat pump installers, or what I commonly call domestic thieves, in disguise, incognito, no image, no details about who they are or anything like that, just ridiculous comments. You don't know what you're talking about, or even four-letter words. But that will not prevent me from continuing making my argument. In fact, it's inspired me to look out for material and come back to you with more information, because I'm now more motivated than ever. Those of you who may have been looking in the media over the last few weeks will see that, especially in this last month, there has been more and more and more bad publicity about these horrible contraptions. I know that there are the odd one of you out there who have had one fitted and you're happy, but believe me, you are in the minority. The major national newspapers have been posting articles that people are having these things ripped out in their thousands. They feel that they've been ripped off. They are making arrangements to have alternative heatings for when they don't work, when they are not efficient enough. And most people, by far the vast majority, complain that they are not warm enough. So for God's sake, think very, very carefully before you have one of these rip-offs fitted in your home. If you already have mains gas, my opinion, and it is my opinion, I'm not a gas engineer, I'm not a heat pump installer, but I am somebody who deals with property and speaks to property owners and landlords on a daily basis. Simply replace your gas boiler with the very latest gas boiler. If you do have mains gas, think very, very carefully before you take the 30 pieces of silver and have your highly efficient and reliable gas boiler ripped out and replaced with one of these ridiculous, noisy and unreliable contraptions. So once again, to those of you who do install them and make your living taking money from people under false pretenses, because everyone I've spoken to, I've asked the same questions before you installed a heat pump, or when you were quoted for a heat pump. Did the salesman, the installer, ask about the insulation in your property? No. Did they give you any advice and suggestions that you should improve the energy efficiency of your property before you even consider having a heat pump fitted? Because these things are nowhere near as capable of warming a property as a traditional gas boiler. No. Were you told that you will probably need to install much bigger radiators, possibly underfloor heating, that whatever you are going to pay out on the heat pump, you may actually end up spending just as much, if not more, on all of the ancillary work, just so that it's not efficient, just so that you actually are not freezing cold when you have this thing planted outside your property. None of them actually advise potential clients on any of these. And all along I have said, before you do anything else, before you consider any changes, if you do wish to make your home more energy efficient, more environmentally friendly, then insulate, insulate, and insulate even more. Then you can think about alternatives, but alternatives that are not really they're not really viable at the moment for the majority of properties in this country. There are less than 40,000 properties in the UK with an EPC of an A. And those of you going to buy new property, your first thoughts are, if it's new, it's going to be highly energy efficient, it's going to be very well insulated. That may be true to a point. Yes, of course, there are regulations, minimum insulation in walls and loft, etc. But even now, even today, through this energy crisis, there is no legislation that states all new property must be a minimum of an A or a B. It is left to the devices of the developers. And yes, of course, newer properties guaranteed are going to be much more energy efficient than a Victorian terraced house, but that's not good enough. And that does not mean that these newer properties are insulated to the degree where you can simply switch a gas boiler for a heat pump and be comfortably warm, because by far, in most cases, you will not. This is not just me saying this now. This has gone national, especially over the last 2-3 weeks. So simply Google this yourself and look for all the news articles and look for the thousands of people who have paid out all of this money under false pretenses, and they are now colder than ever and making arrangements to fit alternative methods of heating their home because their home is not warm enough. And installers, back to you. As I've already said, should you wish to argue your case, if you do indeed have a case, please feel free to contact me. I would be happy to argue my case live. However, be warned, as I've said, I'm not an installer, I'm not an engineer. And if I am going to have somebody who claims to be a technical expert on heat pumps, rest assured that in that conversation, I will also have a technical expert who can rubbish the lies that you are peddling innocent people at a time where there is a cost of living crisis under false pretenses. So the offer is there, although I doubt very much that any of you will take this up. What I have noticed is where I've asked an awkward question, especially on social media, Facebook pages, etc., of any installers or companies who supply these things, I've suddenly been blocked. Not said anything rude, just asked a question that they're uncomfortable to answer, a question that they don't want other potential buyers to see. So the rage continues, but I'm happy to be here stirring things up, because when I think something is wrong, I'm happy to say so. If you agree with me, disagree with me, that's fine. I'm happy to hear all your thoughts. And to be honest, as you very well know, I appreciate the abusive comments even more than the polite ones. And on that note, I would like to thank all the many new followers and viewers. I do hope that I raised some questions that maybe help you with everything to do with property. And if you do have any specific questions, please feel free to get in touch anytime, and I'll see you in the next video.